Hey, sports fans, PBnZ Sports Chaos. We're back at you. We got a little football talk, the end of it all, the last division, the AFC South. And we got to acknowledge today is July 4th. We're doing this show live July 4th. I got Nathan's hot dog eating contest going on in the background. PB, I can't even believe they're doing this year, but they are. It doesn't look like it has any crowd at all. It looks like it's almost like a virtual thing, I guess. I don't know. But they are doing the hot dog eating contest. Joey Chestnut, how many times has he won? Like 1 million?
Yeah,
man.
Down for sure.
All right. Hey, listen. We're going to go through this AFC South momentarily, and I got a funny feeling PB is going to come out with another wacky forecast. You already know what he said about the Cardinals, the Dolphins. Wait till he goes to this one. We'll hear about it as he goes on his way to 256 and 256. We'll see if he lives up to that math. But we're going to talk about, first of all, a little 2-minute drill, the hot news of the week. Washington Redskins. You will never hear that name again pretty soon, I predict. They get a lot of pressure from corporate sponsors, and it sounds like it's going to finally happen. That name will be gone. There'll be a new name. I heard Matt Barry on ESPN say the Washington Monuments would be a good pick. That's not a bad idea. I like that. Also, to follow that, Cleveland came out. MLB, the Indians say they're going to probably have to get rid of their name as well. It is a big change, but it's the right thing to do. Hey, speaking of MLB, they do kick off on July 23rd. Summer camps officially opened yesterday. Some players are not coming, though. Ian Desmond from the Rockies said, no, staying home. So it's going to be interesting what happens. It's going to be very interesting. Minor League Baseball is officially done. They canceled the entire season. And now, of the 160 minor league ballparks out there, they say 80 of them or so may not come back ever again, which means teams like the Hagerstown Sun, for our fans down in Maryland, there'll be no more thirsty Thursday nights for you. Those $4 30-ounce beers are gone. That will stink. Can you imagine a $4 30-ounce beer at a ballpark anywhere in America, PB? I just can't imagine it. That's unbelievable.
Hey, we paid $10 for a beer at the freaking Spinners game, for crying out loud.
I know, and it was only like an 8-ounce. Unbelievable. And hey, by the way, MLB also announced no All-Star game. It's officially over. You know, who saw that coming, right? But anyways, the 60-game season is about to start. NBA, they're going to be down in their camp, Disney World, on Tuesday. And I don't know, players are already starting to get a little nervous down there. Avery Bradley and maybe Dwight Howard are not coming back for the Lakers. That could really hurt that team. We'll see. And then the crazy thing I hear, NHL, they're going to start sometime around 8-1, but they just had their draft lottery this week. And it wasn't for the number 1 pick. It was for the number 2 through 8. Apparently, the number 1 pick is going to go to the losing team in the first round of the play-in tournament. So of the losers, I think it's going to be 8 losers in that first round. Those guys get to compete for the number 1 draft pick. So they get rewarded for going to the tournament and losing with a chance to get the number 1 pick. So good luck to them.
Interesting spin on it.
It is an interesting spin, that's for sure. Hey, big news on Friday. If you're a college basketball fan, this kid, Maker, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He's the number 16 recruit in the country. He elected to turn down Blue Bloods, UCLA, Kentucky, and also Memphis to play for Howard University in the HBCU. That is huge news for those historically black college universities to have a kid of that status come down there and play for Howard University. I think it's great. I'm hoping other kids follow him. He's hoping other kids follow him as well. Speaking of college sports, big news this week, PB. The Ivy League is going to say yes or no if they play fall football or spring football. And this may not seem like a lot because the Ivy League is not really a big football community as far as the whole massive college football. But here's the spin on that. They were the first to call off basketball. They were the first to call off their tournament, and everybody followed after that. So if people say the smart guys from the Ivy League are not going to play fall football, why should we? Which I hate to say it, this could kill college football because if you go to the spring, first of all, Trevor Lawrence ain't playing in the spring. He's going to be a number 1 draft pick. Why would he play spring football to be going to a training camp 2 months later, right, for the NFL? So guys projected to go in the first-round draft, they probably not going to play this. You know what? It's going to be the right thing to do probably, but it's going to kill the sport. Small schools like I played Division III, man, we might not see programs anymore. All right, we're going to talk NFL. We're going to talk AFC South momentarily. First, we talked about Cam Newton early in the week. Did you know, PB, his salary is only guaranteed for $550,000. This is a guy that made like $22 million a year 3 years ago, playing for $550 with a base of 1.1.
Classic Robert Kraft right there.
And Belichick all the way, man. All right, let's get into it. AFC South, I aptly call them the no wide receiver division because they don't really have a stud wide receiver. I know you think T.Y. Hilton maybe. I think Brandon Cooks is okay, but they're not in the top 15, either one of them. So you take it away. What do you got for us in the AFC South?
Yeah, so interesting division for sure. Got 3 teams winning 9 or more games in that division. So there is some strength there, minus the Jaguars, who could be the most pathetic team in the NFL. But I'm going to lead off with the Indianapolis Colts. Right now, the under-over for them in Vegas is 9. Their strength of schedule is right in the middle of the pack, 16th. But I think line of scrimmage-wise, this could be one of the best teams in the NFL when you look at their O-lines and D-lines combined. O-line's probably one of the tops in the NFL, probably right up there with the likes of Philadelphia, Dallas, Baltimore, Orleans maybe. But right there. And then on defense, I think, again, definitely top 15, maybe top 10 defensive line. So I like their game in the trenches. I like the game in the line of scrimmage. And we all know that can help you win a lot of football games. With Phillip Rivers quarterback in that team, I have them at 14-2. Best team in the entire NFL. So I'm putting a lot of chips down here on Indy. Again, I think this is an easy over bet with Vegas. If the under over is 9, they would have to go 8-8 for you to lose that bet. 9, you'd push. 10 or more wins, you'd win. I think that's a pretty safe bet for those gambling people out there.
So are you saying they sweep the division?
Yeah, I have them actually sweeping. I have them actually losing 2 games within the division. At Tennessee and at Houston, I have as their only 2 losses. I have them winning all their other out-of-conference games and out-of-division games within the AFC. Winning at Jacksonville, winning at home against Minnesota and the Jets, winning on the road against Chicago and Cleveland, winning at home against Cincy, winning at Detroit. Big win at home against Baltimore. Then they'll one game, their first game, I should say, at Tennessee, before they come back home and beat Green Bay and Tennessee, lose at Houston, win 4 straight at the end, at Vegas, Houston at home, at Pittsburgh, and Jacksonville at home. Got them finishing 14-2, Russ.
I say they lose the Baltimore game. I just don't think they can hang with the Ravens offense. I just don't see it happening. They're better on defense. They got DeForest Buckner that helps out a lot on their defense, which was already pretty stout. These guys get to run the ball, though. They do not have a great passing game. I know Phillip Rivers is a big upside, but T.Y. Hilton's only a marginal receiver, in my opinion. After that, they get no one else. So Jonathan Taylor has to play a lot for them. The first-round pick, who I think is going to be the best running back that came out of the draft this year. I see this. I see them losing to Baltimore. Believe it or not, PB, I think they split the Cleveland-Chicago road trip they have early in the season. So they go both those games on the road. I have a funny feeling they split one of those with that. They split with Tennessee, like you said. I actually think they lose to Pittsburgh at the end of the season, and I think they probably come 12-4 if they sweep Houston.
Okay. All right. Well, 12-4 would still be a pretty healthy record, having competing for that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. All right. What do you got next?
So I got Houston next. Houston and Tennessee are right there, kind of neck and neck. Houston's schedule is a little bit easier. Houston has the 8th easiest schedule. I'm sorry, 8th toughest schedule in the NFL this year. Tennessee's 20th. So Tennessee's schedule a little bit easier. Under over for Vegas for Houston is 7.5. But I have them outperforming that by 2.5 games at 10-6. Open up at Kansas City is a loss. At home against Baltimore, I get that as a win. At Pittsburgh, loss. Then they win at home against Minnesota and Jacksonville before they go to Tennessee and drop another one. But then they beat Green Bay at home. They win at Jacksonville. They lose at Cleveland. They beat New England at home. They lose at Detroit. They beat Indy at home. They lose at Chicago. They win at Chicago. They lose at Indy. And then they beat Cincinnati and Tennessee to finish off the year. That's 10 wins. There's some games there that could go either way. I could see this team easily finishing 8-8 if they don't win some of those games that I predicted.
So you have Houston second in division at 10-6.
Yeah, I do.
Wow. Again, another team with smart. Well, you know what? They did get Brandon Cooks to replace D. Hopkins. Let me say not to replace D. Hopkins because no one can replace D. Hopkins. But He'll help. David Johnson, running back, it ain't happening. I got them losing PB. Believe it or not, I have them going 0-4 out of the gate. They lose at KC. They come home and lose to Baltimore. They go to Pittsburgh. They lose, and they come back, and they lose at home to Minnesota. They go 0-4 out of the gate. They split with Tennessee. I think they get swept by Indy, quite frankly. I agree they do beat New England, though, this time, and they lose to Green Bay. These guys go 8-8. And Bill O'Brien, the GM, GM's going to fire somebody, either the GM or the head coach, one or the other.
I definitely could see them going 8-8. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
All right, well, what do you got now? You got to have Tennessee.
And remember here, a lot of my numbers, I had to fit them in because we already predicted the other 7.
Yes.
So this is, I couldn't change my mind. I already made the prediction. I had to go 256 up and 256 down.
GB12 is really wondering about this.
Tennessee 9-7 this year. 8.5 is the under over in Vegas. So I do have them outperforming that by a half a game. They open up on the road in Denver. That'll be a tough game. They'll lose it. Come back and win against Jacksonville. Go on the road to Minnesota, lose that. Beat Pittsburgh at home. Lose to Buffalo at home. And then they have a nice 4-game winning streak here. Houston at home, at Cincy, Chicago at home, and Indy at home. Then they have to go tough 2-game road trip at Baltimore, at Indy. Drop them both. Win at home against Cleveland. Win at Jacksonville. Detroit at home, they win that, and then they drop their final 2 of the games. So they're going to be 9-5 going to these final 2 games. And this will make or break the team in its playoffs. But it's at Green Bay, at Houston, and I have them losing both. That'll put them at 9-7. Good enough for third. Could be sniffing a wild card. Just kind of depends on some of the other predictions.
I agree with you. Out of the gate, they don't start well. Denver, they lose. I'm with you on that one. I think they lose to Minnesota as part of that 3-game opening start. Come out 1-2. They're going to definitely lose at Baltimore, in my opinion. That's a 3rd loss for them. They split Indy, so that's a 4th loss there. I believe they lose at Green Bay. If I'm not mistaken, that's around Christmas time when that game is played in Green Bay. No way they win that game. So that gives them 5 there. I think they could split with the Texans. So that's possibly that's a 6th loss for these guys. So I see them at 10-6, but or 9-7. And 9-7 is depending on how they play against Pittsburgh. But they also could be 11-5. I'm going to hold at 10-6 though. I think they go 10-6.
Okay. All right. Not bad. And then finally we have the lowly, probably, I forget, what did I have the Jets at this year? I got the Jets only winning a game or 2, right?
Yeah, but I think you had the Redskins is probably only a 1-win team. Washington.
Maybe you had the Redskins just winning 1, huh? And then I actually had the Jets. No, I had the Jets at 2-14. So Jacksonville, 1-15. Don't have second last game of the year at home against the Bears. That's the only W I have on their schedule. I have them losing all 6 games in the division. I have them dropping. I mean, based on my predictions of all the other teams I've already done, I had Jacksonville losing them all. So I couldn't change my mind and give them a win anywhere. And I can't see them beating Tennessee, Houston, or Indy at all, either home or away. So 1-15. Sorry, guys. The Vegas under over is 4.5. So I think that's an easy under pick. They're not going to win 5 games this year.
I actually think 4-12. And you're gonna hate when I say
under.
this, but they're gonna beat Miami. They're gonna beat Detroit. Matty Patricia might get fired after that. They're gonna beat Chicago and beat Cleveland as well. I know I already said Chicago and Cleveland are gonna probably split with Indianapolis, and you're saying what? How does Jaguars beat both these guys? But they come in favorably in their schedule the time they do, and I think they win 1 division game, and I think it's probably against Houston. So, they could go 5-11, but 4-12 is probably more realistic.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
All right.
That's it. That takes us 256 up, 256 down. PBnZ predicted every single game of the NFL, all 256 games this year, comes to a conclusion this week. It'll be interesting now to see where that lands these teams, who's in the playoffs, who's not in the playoffs. We're going to cover that in the coming weeks for you.
Yeah, definitely. What do we got next week, though? It's baseball season and NBA. What are we going to do next week?
Yeah, next week, it's the 23rd is when the baseball season kicks off. And if you're doing fantasy baseball, that means your draft's coming up here in the next couple weeks. So PBnZ need to give you who we think are our best fantasy picks by position. So we're going to cover that for you in a special fantasy baseball episode next weekend.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward. And by the way, I am watching, as I said earlier, the Nathans. They are actually there. They have plexiglass between each one of the eaters, separating them. This is unbelievable. They just finished with the women's. I can't tell who won yet. They haven't showed her name, but Nathan's is going on. 4th of July tradition lives on. PBnZ Sports Chaos. I'm going to have a little more of my whiskey. I'm going to have a little more of my harpoon. You're going to have a land shark. We're going to enjoy the rest of the day, fans. We'll talk to you next week. Take care.